Good afternoon. I'm Deborah Knapp. You've been watching live testimony, the closing arguments in the George Floyd murder trial. And here in San Antonio, first at 4, final testimony wrapped up today in a federal trial brought against the U.S. Air Force on behalf of the families of victims of the Sutherland Springs church shooting. Today, a psychiatrist gave new insight into possible motives for the shooter. Eyewitness News reporter Zach Briggs explains what this doctor believes fueled the gunman to act.
By the middle of next month, victims' families of the Sutherland Springs church massacre may at last hear the judge's ruling in a federal lawsuit. Plaintiffs argue the Air Force should be held liable for the 2017 shooting that left 26 people dead and dozens wounded at the Sutherland Springs First Baptist Church. The suit alleges the Air Force failed to communicate to the FBI the gunman's history of domestic violence and mental issues. Dr. Jeffrey Metzner clarified his position and why he believes the gunman carried out the attack. Metzner viewed journal entries from the killer's time in a mental institution. He says the gunman's mental state did not reflect bipolar disorder, but rather other personality conditions such as narcissism. Metzner says Daniel Kelly expressed her desire for divorce a day before the shooting, which most likely reinforced the gunman's choice to travel 60 miles and kill more than 20 worshipers where her family attended services. Closing arguments on this case begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow. A decision isn't expected to be made for several weeks. Zach Briggs, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.